Hello and welcome. My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our new stamp set of the week, Match Day. It is this wonderful 10 stamp set of which 1, 2, 3, 4 are sentiments, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are sentiments. And the rest are all images. So we've got the netting, we've got the football t-shirt, we've got the football, we've got a flag, and we've got your number 1 here. So that's the 10. And then we've also got the dies. Again, there's 10 here. So you've got grass coming out, you've got a trophy, you've got a whistle, a football, a circle that will cut out this football here. You've got the t-shirt, you've got the net. So it is a complete football crazy match day stamp set of the week. Right, so let's bring in the first card. It's this one here. So it's quite a simple card. It's got the football background, and then we've got the shirts and a happy birthday banner. So perfect for a Monday. So let's bring in the supplies. So I have got a piece of Daffodil Delight which measures 8 inches by 5 3/4. I have 2 pieces, two pieces of white cardstock, both measuring 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. Now this is an odd measurement, so this is 3 1/4 by 5, and this is 1/8 of an inch bigger all the way round. So it is 3 and 3/8 by 5 1/8, and that gives you your piece all the way round. So the first thing we're going to do is take our white for stamping. So let's have a look. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to use the football, and I'm going to use shaded spruce for the football. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp one image over here, and that is for the inside of the card. Okay, then I'm going to stamp all the way round on each of the edges. So we're just going to make a football background. Just a quite easy little edging, and turn it around that way. It's very similar to one we did recently. Okay, so let's go in there and there. So these footballs are quite good. Not sure you get a green football or a shaded spruce football. I am not, I have to say, a football fanatic. Obviously I know the game exists, and that's about as much as my knowledge goes. So hopefully I'm not going to offend any teams with the colours I've chosen. Right, so there is our shaded spruce footballs, and now we're going to do the t-shirt. So what we're going to do, I'm going to bring in our Memento Black, our t-shirt, and I'm also bringing in a post-it note. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up the t-shirt, stamp it on the post-it note. Let's do it that way. Okay, and the reason being is I need to do some masking so that we can create these 3 t-shirts on the side. So let's grab a pair of scissors. If you haven't done masking before, when you're doing masking, it's very important to cut on the line rather than if you were fussy cutting where you would have a white gap. Because if you have that white gap, what you'll find is it shows through and it doesn't give you the proper effect that you need for something sitting behind it. Right, let's just, there we go. My family were very surprised when I said, oh, I bought a stamp set for footballs, for football players. And they looked at me and went, Mum, do you know anything about football? I was like, well, I know there's a ball involved. So hopefully, as I said, I'm not going to offend anybody with colours. I did do a tiny bit of research. I jumped onto Google and typed in football shirts and came up with some rough ideas. Right, so there we have our t-shirt. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to stamp a t-shirt slap bang in the middle. There we go. Let's grab that out. Okay, so we're going to put first one in the middle like so. Then you're going to cover it up with your template that you've just created, she says, and then you're going to stamp over it. So again, let's do it this way, it's easier. Because the stamp is so big, it's easier to take the ink to the stamp than rather the other way around. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp over. You've got one there. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the opposite side. There we go. Perfect. So once you've done that, you can remove your mask and save it for another time. And there you have this perfect 3 t-shirts all behind each other. So on this one, which I've forgotten to do, is I'm going to grab out the little number 1. There we are. Grab out the number 1. Put it on a little block. And then on the first t-shirt, I am going to... actually, no, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to colour it in first. It would make more sense to do that. Right, so that's the stamping, that and that and that. So I have also got a 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 inch piece of white cardstock. Now this is for our sentiment, and I'm using the happy birthday that I use all the time. Unfortunately, has now been retired, and that's the Simply Said. So I'm sure I will find another sentiment strip that I like. Right, okay, so let's pop that into there. And there's our happy birthday. And that should be all our stamping, apart from the number 1, completed. Tell you what, let's get rid of this because this is never a good look. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to colour in our shirts. Now I've got Daffodil Delight and Shaded Spruce for the colouring. So I've got the dark and the light for the yellow. So this is the dark, and I'm just going to highlight the already given highlights for the shirts. Like so. And when I've done it all the way around, I will bring in the Daffodil Delight light and then go over the whole thing and blend it all in. Like so. Okay, bring that down and we just blend it in nicely. Okay, now you will notice that there is like a border around the collar, the sleeves and the shoulders, and that is what I'm going to use the Shaded Spruce in. Let's go that. So I've got cuffs, collar, there we go, and then it's not collar, is it? It's shoulders. This is the collar. And I've coloured all of those 3 in, and as usual, life's too short to sit here and watch me colour. I have got it all ready, completed. Now we're going to bring in the number 1 and the Memento Black again. And I'm going to pop that just over here, down for a couple of seconds, and then we have our number 1 on the t-shirt. And now we simply need to put the card together. So let's do that. Okay, so the Daffodil Delight has been scored at 4 inches. Fold and burnish with my bone folder. Take out my multi-purpose and I'm going to stick the inside layer down. There we go. And that will go just inside there, like that. Perfect. Then we're going to stick the balls down. Let's see which way is better. That might be better that way. So again, we're going to stick that down with the multi-purpose. Like so. Again, burnish with your bone folder. And now we can layer our focal image onto its matte layer. Again, that is the good old multi-purpose. And as you'll see, there is a very thin line all the way around. And rather than stick this down, I'm going to use my dimensionals. Just going to do one on each corner and one in the middle. Take off the backings. Oh. There we go. Right, and then we can make sure that this is open. Yes, the correct way. And we can layer this on top. Make sure it's straight. And then the last thing to do is to add our happy birthday sentiment, which will just simply go there. Now you've got options. You can stick this down flat or you can use dimensionals. As this is already raised in dimensionals, I'm going to use the glue. There we go. And that really is as quick and as easy for a Monday our card could possibly be. There we go. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. Don't forget, I'm back on Wednesday with our second card. So do join me then if you're free. And I hope to catch up with you all very, very soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.